Pails and rails for internal rotation of the hip capsule from 90-90. So we're going to get set up in our 90-90 position, which means that this shin is perpendicular to this thigh. This shin is perpendicular to this thigh. This shin, you can see, is parallel to the edge of my mat. And this thigh is parallel to the lines on the mat. It's good to have markers to help you get set up properly. We're going to focus on this trail leg for our internal rotation. First step in our pails and rails, we have to find a stretch for our internal rotation. Some people may feel something happening in the hip here. For our deep hip capsule internal rotation stretch, it does not feel like a normal stretch. It feels like something's gonna snap. You do not have to crank on this, nor do I want you to crank on this. I just need you to be able to breathe and relax and get used to that sensation. If you don't feel it from this position, what you can start to do is clench the butt, put the other hand down, and start to twist open from the torso. Don't allow this to happen where you sink backwards. You have to stabilize using the glute, pushing this leg down on the floor, finding the stretch in this area of the hip. This is going to be what's stretching during your internal hip capsule rotation stretch. Once we find that position, we have to be able to hold this position for about 2 minutes. This becomes tiring on your arms. You can even set up with your back up against the wall if you need to. The main focus is to keep finding that stretch in the hip, making sure that it stays there for the whole 2 minutes. What we're going to want to do is lose tension in our body and end up here. Now we're not going to feel anything, or end up here where we're all flexed and hunched over in our spine. You're not going to feel anything. Make sure that you keep feeling the hip. If we're feeling the knee, play with your ankle joint, moving into dorsiflexion or plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion is usually a little bit easier on the knee. Once we have held that stretch for 2 minutes, we're going to start our pails and rails contraction. The pails contraction is going to be trying to create this movement, but nothing is actually going to move. That. But nothing is actually going to move. So we have to imagine there's a 100-pound block on our knee holding us down there. And we're going to start to ramp up tension through the arms, start breathing, and start squeezing all of these muscles that would externally rotate my thigh. If I think about driving my foot into the floor and rotating that hip outward or that knee up, that's how I can kind of get that going. We should slowly start to ramp up our pressure from 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, creating a hard isometric contraction, ramping up to our safest, greatest pressure that we can in external rotation. Once we have reached that, which should be right about now, hold it there. 10, 9, we keep trying to externally rotate that hip and nothing's budging because the floor is in the way. 5, 4, 3, 2, relax, don't alter body positions. Now we're going to try to go to internal rotation of the hip. Nothing's going to move. This is our rails contraction. I'm squeezing all these muscles here. And you should start cramping a little bit, as I am right now. Try to breathe through it. Try to relax. Drive that knee into the floor. It would be almost as if I'm lifting the foot off of the floor without rocking my body forward. For me, we're in our end range, so nothing should actually move. We're doing a pails, rails contraction. Keep driving that knee down into the ground. Think about lifting the foot up off the floor. Nothing is going to move. Keep squeezing your safest, greatest pressure. Driving that knee down for 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Don't alter body position. Breathe. You now have a little bit more motion in that hip. Keep feeling that first stretch that we did, that passive stretch. We're in a little deeper motion here. I want you to hold here for another minute. Breathing, relaxing. Keep finding that stretch. Make sure you don't lose it. This is one round of Pails rails, internal rotation for the hip capsule. After you've held that passive stretch for about a minute, you can slowly come out of it. And shake things out. Pails rails for 90-90 hip internal rotation.